Dr. Schuler, I'm so glad that you could get me in. Oh, no, sit down. No, there's no need to stand up for me, little old me. Oh, I'm so glad you could get me in today. I have so much to talk about. There's so much on my mind. Well, I know I always have a lot on my mind. Don't look at me like that. Today is an exceptional day. I want to talk to you about life. It's just so hard to be alive and function, isn't it? There are all these people that you have to deal with. For example, this morning, I went to the supermarket and I was going to buy a can of tuna. And there was a person standing directly in front of the cans of tuna, and I couldn't get to them. So I waited a while to see if they would move, and they didn't. And I waited more, and they still didn't move. And they were looking really intensely at the cans of tuna like they were reading a book. A pretty boring book, if you ask me. But no one did. Anyway, and so I started quietly sobbing to myself as not to disturb anyone because I was so frustrated because they still weren't moving. And even with my quiet sobs, they were not moving. And so I clenched my fist and I brought it down on his head and I said, "Would you kindly move?" Now, I know you said no violence, Dr. Schuler. But I could have done so much worse. I could have hit him over the head with the can of tuna he was reading. You should be grateful. Anyway, so I hit him in the head and he fell to the ground and a child nearby started crying and I yelled at the child to stop crying! I mean, he was drawing too much attention to me. So I quickly, realizing I was making a scene, ran out of the store and I thought, I'm going to call a cab to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I need to be surrounded by culture right now, not tuna fish. So I get into the cab and this is the next person that I had to deal with. The cab driver would not stop talking and asking me questions. He kept saying in his thick Bronx accent, "Where do you want to go?" Well, God, I was not about to tell him and let him stalk me. I mean, come on. And so I'm still quietly sobbing to myself in the back of the taxi, but I was thinking about how the Metropolitan Museum of Art is such a beautiful representation of artistic expression in New York City. And I guess I must have said it under my breath because I looked up and we were there. And he said, "That'll be $20.39. And I said, "Oh, here's 25, keep the change." And he did not say thank you or have a nice day. Now, mind you, neither did I, but I needed to get out of the cab before I lost my mind, and he should have. So finally, I get out of the cab and I get into the Museum of Art, and this is the next group of people that I had to deal with. Snobby art students. They were everywhere. I mean, this place was literally crawling with beanie-wearing, Instagramming, tea-drinking distractions from the art the rest of us patrons came to see. And so I stood in front of a painting of a man with a particularly large and disfigured big toe when I realized just how badly I needed to hyperventilate. What's that, Dr. Schuler? Deep breaths? Okay. I love this bag. Anyway, so I quickly scanned the room for the perfect place to panic. But every single bench was filled with these art students. They all looked different. They were all different people, but they were all wearing the exact same thing. Each and every one of them had on a beanie, glasses, and was doing something furiously on the pad in front of them. Now, at first glance, Dr. Schuler, one might think they were sketching, which I think is a perfectly justified use of a bench at an art museum. But no, their fatal flaw was their eyes. In their eyes, the reflection in their glasses, every single one of them was Instagramming. And I don't have a problem with Instagramming, but you know who does, Dr. Schuler? You know who does? Jack. That's right, Jack, my supposed boyfriend. Yeah, and this morning, Dr. Schuler, I said to Jack, I said, "Jack, why didn't you like my post on Instagram?" And he said, "I didn't feel like I needed to like your post on Instagram." And so me, being the bigger woman, decided to go to his page and give one of his photos a precious like. And I go to his page, and what's the first picture I see, Dr. Schuler? Jack and Amelia. That's right, Amelia. You don't know about her yet, but that's next week. And I got so furious seeing Jack and Amelia after he hadn't posted a picture of us in God knows how long. I just got so furious and frustrated, which led to the violence over the can of tuna, which led to the stalker taxi driver, which led to the art museum, which leads us full circle, Dr. Schuler. It leads us full circle. So what do you think? What? You have your lunch break right now? No. I know you don't have your lunch break right now because I called your secretary and I said, "Hello, Brandy." And she said, "Hello. I love her so much. Where did you find her? She's so great." I said, "Hello, Brandy. I desperately need to come in today. When does Dr. Schuler take his lunch break?" And she said, "Dr. Schuler takes his lunch break at approximately 12:30. And I said, "Thank you, I'll be there," and hung up on her. And that's how I know you don't take your lunch break right now. And that's why I need you to tell me what to do, and I need you to tell me what I think, because I think I'm going to freak out right now. I feel like I'm going to faint if you don't. Dr. Schuler?